21 years ago, back in 2004, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater dropped on the PlayStation 2, and it's been re-released and remastered dozens of times. Not dozens of times, it's been like re-released maybe 3 times. Regardless, we finally have a full-on remake. We've never had a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 before, or any of the Metal Gear Solid games, except for Metal Gear Solid 1, which was remade into Twin Snakes.
Sorry, I forgot.
We're getting off the beaten path here, just like the beaten path that we are on right now in the forest as part of this Snake Eater extravaganza. So I've been a fan of the Metal Gear series ever since they had the Pizza Hut demo disc that had Metal Gear Solid 1. And I begged my parents to go to Pizza Hut so we can go get that demo disc. It really transformed me into a world where I didn't know games could be that serious and tell such a great story.
Do you like it?
The feeding ramp is polished to a mirror sheen.
Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta is a game that I have mixed feelings about, mostly positive. Originally, I was worried that because it's a one-to-one remake, that it was just gonna be too stuck in its ways. When they first talked about this Snake Eater remake, Metal Gear Solid Delta, they said it's gonna be a one-to-one remake, it's gonna be completely faithful to the original. They weren't gonna reimagine the whole thing. They were going with the same cutscenes, the same voiceovers, they reused those. And while a lot of fans were happy about that, I think there were a lot of ways in which Metal Gear Solid 3 needed to be updated. Controls especially, and thankfully that is one of the biggest differences here in Delta. We've got a refreshed modern UI that feels very intuitive. At the bottom, you have your XP bar that tells you how close you are to the next tier of the battle pass. Just kidding, it doesn't have any of that shit. The one thing I was worried about was the map zones are very small because they were built for the PlayStation 2's small amount of memory compared to what we have today. Not that I necessarily needed Delta to be an open world game, but I think that they could have reimagined the maps a little bit more. As it stands, it's been completely one-to-one recreated, so every single room is exactly as it was in the original. Just the graphics are completely redone from scratch, and they look absolutely gorgeous. I was hoping that it was gonna be something different. Like, let's take Silent Hill 2, for example, also by Konami, the publishers and developers of Metal Gear Solid. They completely reimagined Silent Hill 2, and it was amazing. And I couldn't imagine what Silent Hill 2 would be like if they just reused all of the old voiceovers, all of the old, loading screens, all of the old cutscenes, beat for beat. I don't think Silent Hill 2 remake would have been the same. I don't think it would have made an impact. Talking about Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta, I think it does work. I was worried that it was gonna feel limited. I do think it could have been more in that regard. It would have been nice to have some new environments, some new cutscenes, some new surprises and delights. I don't think we quite get too many of those. It is really nice to see all the old environments rendered in a really beautiful way. All the graphics have been redone, and it's a beautiful, gorgeous game. There are a couple of animations that feel a little goofy. During the boss battles, especially, I don't know why those stand out in particular. Many of the boss battles have some kind of animation to transition between phases of the battle. So there's this one scene where Revolver Ocelot is reloading his gun, and the animation just looks a little bit goofy. I think it might be the same PS2 animation, and I wish they had redone that, because he's like reloading his gun and just looks so mechanical.
This reload time is exhilarating.
One of the things that I was worried about that I ended up liking was I was worried about the voice acting.
My mission is to rescue you.
Leave me.
Sokolov!
So they reused all the same dialogue. So everything that was in the original is also in Delta. I was worried that it was gonna sound out of place in a modern game, but I think they did a great job of getting everything to match up. The voice acting is still great. It's still very hammy when it needs to be, but now that Konami is on good standing with David Hayter, the voice of Snake, it would have been great to have him come in and give it a new performance. I think it wouldn't have taken away from the experience. I think we would have been just fine with a more ambitious remake.
I can't fly one of those.
That's okay. I happen to be an excellent pilot.
So one of my favorite things that Delta does differently than the original game is the controls are fantastic. The controls in the old one, don't hate me for this, but they have not aged well. I think they're really clunky. It does take a little bit of getting used to because they're so modern compared to the old Metal Gear Solid 3 controls. I still have the muscle memory of pulling up the item list and the weapons list on the bumpers. It's so much easier having it on the D-pad, being able to switch weapons by pressing right on the D-pad, switch items by pressing left on the D-pad. The radio is now down on the D-pad. There's like a little quick menu so it doesn't interrupt the action of the game, and you can use one of the sticks to choose who you're calling. And so it does a really good job of modernizing these systems. So you can still save the old-fashioned way by using the radio, but there's also an autosave system, so you've got plenty of autosaves. You don't really have to worry. We'll wait for that plane. Is there like a small airport around here?
Yes, actually.
Oh, that makes sense. Hey everybody, this is Chris in Color. You might know me from other videos like my AI Slop, Chapel Roan, and Solid Snake mashup of Hot to Go.
5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8.
The video we made that no one watched?
Yeah, and then I deleted it.
It's like 199 from free. 92 went big, so it went big. H-O-T-T-O-G-O, snapping, hopping, such toes.
He's like, H-O-T-T-O-G-O.
Yeah, I try not to think about it.
H-O-T-T-O-G-O, you can take me on to go.
It was dog shit.
You try to validate your joke is so much funnier than the joke itself. So, moving on.
Oh, also don't forget to like and subscribe. So all of the music in the game is exactly the same as the original, except for one. Cynthia Harrell redid her rendition of Snake Eater for the intro, and it sounds amazing. I love it. I wouldn't say it's better or worse than the original, but I'm glad that they did something new there. It's always great to have a new option. It doesn't take away from the original. You can always play the Master Collection that just came out a few years ago, and it's got everything that you love. I do wish that they reduced the amount of time that you need to go into the menu and heal yourself. It feels like every time I get shot by the guards, I have to go in and like go through the menus and dig the bullet out with a knife and put the bandage on. And it tells you a checklist of things to do, but it doesn't tell you exactly which ingredients you need to grab to do it. I know it's part of the game, but I kind of wish there was like a mode where you could just heal with a ration like you could in Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. I know a lot of you Metal Gear Solid 3 purists are gonna hate me for this take, but I really just want to heal with a ration. I don't want to have to dig out bullets every time. If they did it like half as much, I don't think I would hate it as much, but it gets to be a little bit much when it feels like menu backpack simulator, and I wish they would have toned it down a little bit. They have a really sleek way of changing your camos on the fly. As you might know, in Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, you could change Snake's camos via the menu, and you would find the one that best fits with the environment that you're in. And you want to get the highest percentage so you're less visible against the guards. So in Delta, they've improved on this. You just hold up on the D-pad, and on the fly, you scroll through your camos, you press the button, and you get a little transition screen. Boom, he has changed his camo. It's a lot sleeker, a lot easier to use. You don't have to dig through the menus as much, and I really appreciate that because one of my critiques about the original was that Metal Gear Solid 3 was kind of a menu simulator. I do miss the days of having all of your items just available to you all the time like it was in Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. I don't love having to dig through the backpack and choosing what you need to put in your item inventory and doing that whole thing. But I do understand the survival aspect of it. You know, you're in the jungle, you're trying to survive, but I just want a simple menu, and it would have been cool if that was an option. I'm not saying we have to remove all the things that many of you loved in Metal Gear Solid 3, but I would like to see an option where you could just see everything from the menu, like in Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. I don't see a need to complicate things further. The battle with the End, the ancient sniper who's over 100 years old, goes way too long in my opinion. Like, I do understand the appeal of having a battle where it's like protracted and you're sniping and you're trying to sneak up on this sniper who's really in tune with the land. But it took me over an hour to beat him, and I was just kind of exhausted by the end of it. I just wanted to get through it. The other thing about the battle with the End is it takes place in, I believe, 3 different maps. So you're moving from area to area because, as I mentioned earlier, the PS2 memory limitations necessitated that the maps were smaller. We have the technology now, and even if you wanted to keep it, one-to-one accurate, I think they could have at least combined the 3 maps in which you fight the end. I think it would have made the fight feel more cohesive. It just felt a little weird going in, getting a loading screen, trying to find him again, not being sure if he was on that map. It felt a little disconnected, and I feel like that is one part that they could have improved on.
Better find some place.
Don't get me wrong, I do have these little critiques, but I say this from a place of love, because I really do like the game. I had a great time with it. I will be replaying it again soon. It's just that I wish these things were tweaked, because when I go back and play it, I'm dreading that sequence. So I played this on the Steam Deck, and I have a couple notes about that. I've seen a lot of takes online about how it's unplayable, and I hear this about the Steam Deck a lot. People will see a game that doesn't run at 60 and you have to turn everything to low, and they instantly say it's unplayable. That's not the case for me. I mostly got 30 FPS with brief drops, and I know that 30 FPS with dips is like a meme now in the Steam Deck community, but that is really what you get. Totally playable for me. I played the game from start to finish on the Steam Deck. I had a great time. Not once did I think, oh, this is performing poorly. And think about it this way. When Snake Eater dropped in 2004, imagine, if you will, you could play the original on PS2 in full quality at home on a TV, or you could play on the PSP the exact same game, but like lower graphics. Day and date with Metal Gear Solid 3 on the PS2. So essentially, that's what you're getting here with the Steam Deck. On day one, you have it on a portable device that you could go anywhere with. And yeah, you have to turn down the graphics. Yeah, it's gonna be 30 FPS with some dips when the action is heavy. But it performs well overall. It's totally playable. Don't buy into the hype that it's unplayable. That is just not true. But again, you do have to know what you're getting into, so you gotta make your own choice here. It's not gonna be 60 FPS. It's not gonna look the best, but it looks good enough. It looks better than the original. It's a fantastic game for the Steam Deck. So if you are like-minded, I don't think you'll regret it. In fact, because of the way it runs on the Steam Deck, I really hope we can get a Switch 2 port that's even more optimized and looks even better than it does on Steam Deck. Hopefully, Konami gets those dev kits and we can see it on the Switch 2 fairly soon.
Huh? Who's there? What the? Help me!
It would be so easy to get lost in the sauce about what, I don't like that phrase.
I didn't either. It was deeply cringe. You're too old for it. Giving real unk vibes.
There's a lot of unks out there who are gonna watch this. Is there a female version of unk? Unt? It would be so easy to get lost in the thought of what a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 could have been. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is perhaps a little bit less ambitious than I would have hoped for, but I had a great time with it. The controls are great. It's so much fun to run around, and the aiming is so smooth. The graphics are fantastic. The voiceovers sound as good as ever. The music still sounds great. They reused all the same music, but that's okay. I just wish that the maps weren't quite as small and cramped as was necessary back in the PS2 days. I wish they had just redesigned the map a little bit more. But despite that, I think it's a really great remake. Perhaps not as imaginative and reinventive as the Silent Hill 2 remake that we got last year, but I think it's a great game. I think it's worth a purchase. I think at this point, Konami has laid their cards on the table. We all know that it's not a complete from the ground up remake. It really is beat for beat that old story, for better or worse. And if that's okay with you, I think you're gonna enjoy it. If you really liked the original Metal Gear Solid 3, I think it's a solid purchase.
Now take your top off. Give the viewers what they want.
It's a great game. I had a great time with it. I hope you do too.
H-O-T-T-O-T-O. You can take me on to go. H-O-T-T-O-T-O. You can take me on to go.